Hello, 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 everybody. Good evening and welcome to this evening's session. Great to have everybody here. Wow. Benson, great to have you here. George, James, Bali, Michael, Susan. I mean, it's amazing. You know, what fascinates me about these sessions is that we just send out the invitation and people just keep coming. So thank you so much. We do, um, you know, how do I put it? This is my little thing. My little thing is to communicate information that can take our nation and our continent forward and that can help us as leaders to become better. If we can improve the quality of leadership we have on the continent, we will improve everything. And so that's my little thing, that I will pour out what I know, what I have learned by the grace of God. I've had over 3 decades in doing this, communicating information. And you know, when you've done something for over 30 years, in different countries and different continents, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You will pick up some things if you're not totally as stupid as might be. You will pick up a few things along the way. And so my little thing is to see how I can contribute those little things that I pick up, and hopefully somebody will be helped somewhere. So once again, you are all very, very, very welcome. And I have a little gift for everybody that's here tonight. I will announce it. Please, somebody remind me to announce this towards the end. But I have a gift that you are going to absolutely love. I promise you that you are going to love it. All right. So get your notebooks, even though, of course, this is going to be put on our social media platforms. It's going to be put on our social media platforms. So, but get your notebooks and get ready. If there's anybody that you need to invite to be here, you know, please get them here, because this is going to be a session that I guarantee you is going to turn things around for you. Of all the skills a person can possess, I believe strongly that the greatest is the ability to communicate. Did you hear what I said? The greatest is the ability to communicate. Now, when you look at some of the books I'm going to be featuring and working with tonight, this one is called Made to Stick. Made to Stick. Why Some Ideas Survive and Others Die. This is a Harvard Business Review on communication. Okay. And this is called Surrounded by Idiots. Okay. By Thomas Erickson. So we're going to look at these. But, you know, one of the things I've noticed, if you see at the top here, it says New York Times bestseller. And that's the thing. It's not necessarily, it did not say best written. It says bestseller. So what does that mean? You can have a book that is so very well written. It's irrelevant. What is going to determine whether it is successful or not Was it well sold? Was it well communicated? Elections are won not because you have great policies, but because you are able to communicate what you have. All right? You get, if you're a young man and you're not yet married and you're seeking to get a wife, you are going to get a wife based on your ability to sell yourself. That's just the truth. Are you able to sell yourself? So, of all the skills, the one skill that empowers every other skill, the one skill that will position you is your ability to communicate. There's another book here, it's called Power at Work, The Art of Making Things Happen. And basically, the summary of this, and I'm going to, look at the summary of this is you are not going to move forward, even professionally, just because you are good at the technicality of your work. You are going to move up because you are able to communicate. Communicate with your peers, communicate with the people that report to you, communicate with the people that you report to. That is it. So if there is one course that I like to push for everybody to register for, it is this one. This first module is going to be put online, but I will encourage you to register for the entire, there are 6 modules, all right? I will encourage people to register for that. So let's get this started, all right? Let's get this started in a very, very, in the United States, I was looking at some data before we started this. The public speaking, this is amazing. Yes, I will share the books. Great. Taiwo can help me write the books in the chart. All right, now, listen to this. This is going to totally blow your mind. In the United States, this is just the US, not the rest of the world. In just the US, listen, the public speaking segment alone, generated $1.9 billion in revenue in 2019 and is projected to reach 2.3 billion by 2025. Did you hear that? Public speaking. Why? Because companies are, everybody wants someone who can come and speak at a conference, somebody who can bring a new perspective, somebody who can challenge thought. $2.3 billion industry for the US alone. If you put the whole of the world, my goodness, we're probably looking at a $3, $4, or even $5 billion industry. So guess what? Apart from this helping to push you forward, some of you may decide, you know what? I want to build a career around this. If you want to do that, I will help you. I will help. That's my commitment to my students. I will help you. Because let me tell you, those of us there, we cannot meet the demand. Right now, I'll tell you one of the things we're doing. Some organizations are now looking to, there was a bank in Tanzania, I'd worked with them for a number of years. Now they called me. We need somebody who can come and speak on sales. We need somebody who can come and speak on, all right? And so I was now like a recruiter for them, getting the people that they needed. So what am I saying, friends? This is a massive industry, massive opportunity for another stream of income for yourself, but this is what positions you and will help you to rise, all right? So what's the first thing you need to know? Just like for anything, the key to successful communication, I would say the number one key is the knowledge of self. Knowledge of self. Who are you? Why is this important? Why is this important? I have seen a lot of people, you see somebody, and then you begin to copy his style, but you are not him. It's very, I saw, you know, in the 90s, and early 2000s, you know, when people like T.D. Jakes became popular, you know, my goodness, every preacher was trying to whoop and, you know, preach like him, including those who had very thick Yoruba accents. You understand? You know? Now, but that's not you. So if you are going to be successful in this thing, you must be secure in who you are as a person. Are you hearing me today? You must be secure in who you are, because we are going to build this around your personality. Every individual is unique. So how do you build? You need to know your own unique style. Let me give you an example. Those of you who have seen me speak at events publicly and all that, I remember many years ago, I'm talking of probably closer to 40 years ago. This must have been about 1987, 88, thereabout. There was a friend of mine. When he speaks, he would stand on one spot. Oh, he was dignified. I loved it. It was so stately and dignified the way he spoke. Yes, James. It was 87. Yeah. This guy would speak. He was, James, you've forgotten I'm a grandfather. So when this guy spoke, he was so prim and proper. But I can't do it. I can't do it. That's not me. So when I speak, you know, I will tell you stories. I will talk about my grandmother in the village. I will talk about my children. I will talk about all sorts of things. I can't stay on one spot. I will tell you about my experiences. But I would have painted such a picture for you that by the time I zero in, you will need help to miss it. Am I telling the truth? Those of you who have listened to me before, am I telling the truth? That's my style. People will laugh. People will, all right? I make fun of myself. I make fun of them. We will talk about all sorts of things. But when I drop the hook, everybody gets it. That's my style. This, my friend, was on one spot, line upon line, precept upon precept. But I envied him. I wanted to be like that. So I decided I'm going to try to speak like him. Guess what happened though? As I stood on one spot and I said, good afternoon or good evening, and I began to speak. After about 10 minutes, I just looked. People are praying for me. You know what that means? Everybody was sleeping. They were going up like this. And I tried, and I tried, and I was not connecting. Oh. Then do you know what happened one day? I overheard this, my friend, talking to somebody else. And these were his words. I wish I could be like Wale. That the guy just goes around telling stories, people laugh, but you don't forget what he has said. I said, what? Look at me. I'm spending my life trying to be like somebody who is spending his life trying to be like me. Oh, it's a mad, mad world. So I want you to write something, everybody. I want you to write, I am the best at being me. I am the best at being me. I want you all to write that. Why do I want you to write? Because it will reinforce it for you. I am the best at being me. Thank you, Christine. Thank you. I am the best at being me. All right? That's it. And you see, your power is going to come through your authenticity. Are you hearing me today? Your power is going to come through your authenticity. If you watch, go on YouTube, Google my name, watch any of the interviews where I've been interviewed, you will see that that style follows me even when I'm doing interviews. When they ask me a question, then I say, let me tell you a story. All right? That has worked. That has worked for me for over 3 decades. That has sent my children to school. Are you hearing me? So that authentic self, very, very important, okay? And, you will know your own style. You will know what works for you, it's you. You will know what your flow, your natural flow. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody has a natural flow. You will know what your natural flow is. Me, when I am communicating and all that, I must tell you stories. I just must tell you stories. No matter who. I might be with the president and say, Wale, what do you think of this? I say, let me tell you a story. And then everybody starts laughing. Then look at this storyteller. Yeah. Let me tell you a story. After all, have you noticed that even Jesus, anything he wanted to teach, let me tell you a story. They call them parables. So understand your style. Then once you've understood your authentic style, then there is the preparation. And when I say the preparation, even before the physical preparation, and if you do register for the program, there's a whole course on preparation, research methods, and things like that. But first, there's the psychological preparation. Why is this important? I will tell you. You see, emotional states are contagious. Emotional states. Let me give you an example. How many of you have been in a situation where everybody is happy, life is going on well, then somebody walks into the room and the place just gets damp. Everything just, the energy is sucked out of the room. Have you ever seen that before? The energy is just sucked out of the room when somebody comes in. You know what happened? They just came with their negative emotional energy and they just sucked out. But the same is true of a place can be just there and then someone comes in and lights up the place. So emotional states are contagious. I give you an example. You're going to work in the morning and you're driving and somebody nearly hits your car or maybe scratches your car and that messes up your day. You get into a negative emotional state. Then you get to work and, you begin to take it out on people who have done nothing to offend you. You just begin to take it out on them. Why? Emotional states are contagious. Or you had a bad day at work, then you get home and you've gone with that same emotional anger or whatever that happened at work. And before you know what's happening, you've transferred it, you're screaming at people, doing that, and you just kill the atmosphere. So emotional states are contagious. So never, ever, ever go into a meeting with a negative emotional state. You will destroy your argument before it starts. Always make sure that you have, look, if you have to, and when you look at a lot of these books on athletes, a lot of these books on athletes, on high performance, they have a way before they go to run. Maybe they are listening to something, they're doing something to psych themselves, to make sure they are in the right emotional state. It's not just for show, it is important. One of the ways that I have learned to control my emotional states, and I think I have perfected it so well that even when I was going through hell, went through a terrible heart attack, and going through, a lot of people did not know what I was dealing with. They did not know, and that's because I learned. And incidentally, I learned this principle from the Bible, David and Goliath. I learned it from them. I learned that memories never travel alone. Memories are the custodians of your emotional state. Let me explain that. So, my mother died on the 4th of November, 1998. for a couple of months or years after that, every 4th of November, when I remembered my mother, I would go into a deep depression. You know why? Because the memory did not travel alone. Do you know, every one of us here right now, there is something, if I tell you to think about it, and you think about it deeply, long enough, you can get so upset you begin to cry. Because the memory doesn't travel alone. It comes with the same emotions that existed when the memory was created. Oh, is somebody hearing me today? So, David and Goliath, David is going to face this giant, this 10-foot giant called Goliath. David is a young 17-year-old boy. There's no way that can be even a contest. But David said something. He recalled some memories. I was looking after my father's sheep. A lion came. I killed it. A bear came. I killed it. You know what he has done? He has just put himself in an empowered state where the memory came with the same power that existed when he did that. So this Goliath shall not be an issue. Let me tell you a story. Okay? So I was in university. It was my second to last year. And we were having a workshop, a symposium actually. And we're expecting some professors from all over the country. This was in Nigeria. And on the day of the event, my dean, or my head of department, he said, Wale, Professor so-and-so from Lagos is not going to make it. So you will stand in for him. I thought, you gotta be kidding, man. You gotta be kidding. Me. My course was a 4-year course. I'm in year 3. I have people ahead of me. Take my seniors. Oh, there are lecturers from all over. Use them. Why me? But my head of department was adamant. He said, you're going to do it. So I got there and I had a plan. And my plan was very, very intelligent. That I'm the youngest. I'm a small boy. All these guys will talk. And when they finish talking, they will finally call me. Then my job will be easy. I will just say, like Professor so-and-so said, like Professor so-and-so said. Like, I'll just summarize everything they have said. How difficult can that be? So that was my plan. But you know what? I have one of the modules here that we're talking about when everything goes wrong. That was one day. So the master of ceremony, he was possessed of something that day. Because after welcoming everybody, he said, well, to kick us off with this program, let me call on my brother Wale. Yeah. What do you do? I wanted the ground to open and just swallow me at that point. I was blank. You understand? I had nothing to say. And this place is packed full of lecturers, of students, of girls that I would one day want to chase, who would have now seen me make a fool of myself. I mean, this guy has finished my reputation on campus. So, Christine, I hope, are you laughing at me or you're laughing with me? Because this laughter you are putting there. So listen, you're laughing at me. Okay. I know how and where to get you. That is an act of provocation. So listen. So I pick up the mic. I mean, they give me the mic and my ears had my mouth saying something that my head did not know. I said, the Bible says in the book of Numbers, I studied popular demography and social statistics. So this is a symposium on population dynamics and the evolution and growth of populations over the years. So I said, population data. So I said, the Bible says in the book of Numbers, there was a population census. It was very successful. I don't know how they could have a successful census there, and we are still trying to have a successful census here in Nigeria. And I went on and on. I was just improvising. Do you know? Somebody just sent me a message, but I will read it to you now. Listen. So, my God, do you know when I finished? They began to clap. I was given a standing ovation. I thought, what's going on here? Then you know the best part of this whole story? See all the professors that were speaking after me? You know what they were saying? Like Wale said. Ooh, like Wale said. Like Wale said. Can you believe that? Now, that was the beginning. And I had many other incidents like that where I was absolutely not ready, but I was thrown into the deep end. One of my mentees sent me a message now. She's on this call. Says, so you revenge that moment by throwing us in the deep end. It is well. Oh, yes, I will throw all of you in the deep end. It's called baptism by fire. But do you know the advantage of that? Now, fast forward about 20, 25 years, fast forward. I was called to facilitate a leadership conference for about a week. My audience were former presidents, former prime ministers, very, very highly placed people. I was told it was coordinated by the United Nations. I was told that the last time they tried to do it, after the first session, the consultant that was supposed to facilitate, after his first session, they told him, you know what, we can do this better than you. Just go. Don't worry, we'll pay you. I said, and this is where you are sending me to. How do you even begin to get confidence after that? That the last person was kicked out on day one. And the insult of it, they said, we will pay you, just go. So when I got there, and so I was warned that you have to be careful. These guys have massive egos. and so on and so forth. I said, okay. So I get there. They all come in. What am I doing? I am just sitting down like this. And you know what I'm doing? I'm recalling memories, because memories don't travel alone. So I recall that incident back then, nearly 40 years ago. I recall all the incidents I could. You know what? As those memories were coming, hey, I was charged. I was on fire. I was high. Are you hearing me? I was high. Those memories, it was like, whoa. So when they called me, I got up, went there, and I did the normal things first. I massaged their egos, which was right, because look, you know, and when they told me that they have egos, I said they deserve it. Now, have you been a former prime minister or former whatever before? No, they deserve it. So I got there and I said, oh, it's such an honor. It's such a privilege to be in the same room with people that I've only heard of on CNN, on Al Jazeera, on all this. And now we're in the same room. It is such a privilege. And you could see, you know, I'm massaging it. They're all, So remember, I was high. So I said, well, on a lighter note, I was warned before coming in here that I was going to meet with a lot of egos in here. But if you look at me very carefully, you discover my ego is bigger than all your egos put together. Look very well at this Niger boy. You know what? They all cracked up and started laughing hysterically. Before you know what's happening, we are doing high fives and all that. The ice had been broken. Next thing, at the end, they were all lining up for me to autograph books for them. What am I saying to you today, friends? The worst thing you can do for yourself is to go in to a session with negative emotional energy. It will mess up everything for you. So you need to be psychologically prepared. And the way you keep yourself in that psychologically high state is through recalling memories that will empower you. Then a lot of self-speak. I do that. A lot of self-speak. You know, it's all part of the preparatory process. You know, sometimes I just tell the person next to me as we're going, I said, do you know these people are going to have an unforgettable experience? I tell even my driver, I say, hey, you know, these people are never going to forget me. Are you hearing me? Benson, I see your hand. I will come to you. So these people are never going to forget me. Are you hearing me? And that is how we've done this over the years. Now, talking about knowing yourself, let me say something very important there. Part of knowing I speak and I write, okay? Now, some of you may not believe this, but I know myself more than you know me. So you know one thing I have discovered? I write better than I speak. Oh, okay, Benson. No problem. Listen, I write better than I speak. Are you hearing me? I know that. So you know what? Sometimes, even if I'm going to go on a phone call, and I will, you know, if it's a phone call, maybe Kefa and I are supposed to speak. I have an idea of what we want to talk about. Do you know what? I write out the way I want the conversation to flow. I write it out. I go over it. So by the time Kefa and I get on the phone and we start talking, he will think I'm a very articulate guy, or that I have everything put together. It's a lie. I wrote it. Are you hearing me? Because when I write, somehow I'm able to articulate with more clarity than when I speak. So I would write down the flow of the conversation. So even when I come for things like this, I write down the flow. So we're going to go from here, we're going to go here, we're going to go here, and we're going to hit the punch here. And once we've dropped that, then it's mic drop. That's where we'll stop. Because I write better than I speak. Okay? So I hope you're getting something tonight so far. Don't ever carry your tension and stress into a place where you are about to speak or pitch or do anything. It will destroy. Your presentation will be dead on arrival. So learn how to deal with your fears and pressure before you get in front of whoever it is. All right. So we've talked about knowing yourself. Okay, we've talked about dealing with about psychological preparation. Then you need to know your audience. Who are you communicating with? Knowing who you are communicating with is so important. You know why? Communication must always be done in the language that the audience understands. These things are so simple, and that's why a lot of people miss them. It must be done in a language that the audience understands. What messes up a lot of people in the area of communication is their selfishness. They want to make it about themselves. Listen, you are not communicating to impress yourself, number one. Number two, you are not communicating to show how much you know. All right? All right, James. You are not communicating to show how much you know. You are not communicating to, you are communicating to pass a message. You are communicating to get a buy-in. You are communicating to get a buy-in from somebody. All right? So you cannot go there and now just begin to speak. Maybe you are an engineer or whatever. You begin to speak technical terms that nobody understands. But you are very happy with yourself that, hey, you talked about the velocity, you have scattered English there. You are happy with yourself. But nobody understood you. Are you hearing me? Nobody understood you. You are talking to somebody, for instance, let me give you a simple example. So we are here now. I have people from different countries. I have people from different places. Then I'm communicating. Listen up. Then I say, I was at Sarit Center. And then from Sarit Center, I was going to Yaya Center. Okay? Now, the Nairobi people understood what I just said. The place is like the distance from ABC Place to Sarit Center. The people in Nairobi understand what I just said. The people in Botswana have no clue what I just said. So guess what? They have listened. But have you communicated? No. That happens a lot of times. You go, you have spoken, you have used all the English in the dictionary, you have dazzled them with English, dazzled them with your fluency, and then they don't buy. You know why? You did not communicate. And the greatest deception where communication is concerned is the deception that communication has happened when it has not happened. All right? Let me give you an example. And I speak Yoruba very fluently. If you hear my Yoruba, I'm a deep Yoruba because I'm a village boy. You understand? I'm very traditional. I speak deep Tonk Yoruba. Now, so I come to Mombasa and I'm addressing a group of Swahili speakers. I am now speaking my deep Yoruba to them so that they are polite, they appear polite, they may shake their head. But am I communicating with them? No. Are you hearing me today? Or communicating with them? Because communication must always put the audience as the priority. Always. My grandson loves watching a lady on YouTube. She's called Miss Rachel. She does things for kids. And he's glued to the TV, watching her, singing along with her, and all that. Now, guess what? She sounds funny. Say, good. Good job. Yeah. And, you know, she sounds like a kid. You may look at her and think, what's all this? What's all this? How can an adult be sounding like Mumu like this? You are not her audience. You are not her audience. So what you think about her is irrelevant. Yeah. Taiwo, please help me check Miss Rachel, how many subscribers she has. You see some of her videos, 50 million, 100 million views. Team, you are correct. Kids are the toughest audience. But you know what? Because of her, now when we say to my grandson certain things, he understands. Because that is her audience. Are you hearing me today? Subscribers. She has 10.6 million subscribers on YouTube. Some of the views, 888 million views. You don't want to imagine how much she's making from YouTube. Because, like with my grandson, the parents just put it, just let it play. Play one video after the other, after the other. So you may be upset about the way she's sounding, but Abego, you are not her audience. her audience understands her. And you see, when you have this disconnect between the communicator and the audience, you can be sure communication will not take place. It will not take place. All right? So, knowing before, when they invite me somewhere, we normally send a client information sheet. And that client information sheet, we normally ask about the audience. And those of you that want to take this up, like I said, I will help you. I will mentor you through that whole process, but you have to go through the other modules on the Street University. Are you hearing me today? So once I have the information about the audience, and then let me tell you one thing in my field, one thing I have learned, the view from the top is strategic. The view from the bottom is emotional. What does that mean? Let me explain that to you. The guys at the top, they have context. Okay? They have context. Let's take Kenya. Let's take the origins of this whole tax situation. All right? And even if you're not here in Kenya, it's been on every news channel in the world. There was a tax bill that was, that was passed. And people said, yeah, I know, Susan, I know you will not forget the gift. I know that. Yes, I know you will not forget it. So there's a tax bill, and people said no, especially the young people. They said, no, it's not going to happen. And that led to all that has happened. Now, let's break it down from a communication, but it's a fantastic case study. Let's break it down. So, is there a debt for the country? Yes. Is it important to pay the debt? Yes. Are there consequences for not paying the debt? Yes. Would that affect everybody? Yes. Now, that is context. Okay? That we owe this amount, we have to pay this amount by this date. That is context. That is the strategic view from the top. Okay? The view from below is emotional. My food, my rent, my school fees, my hospital bills, or whatever, it's emotional. So the guy at the bottom, he does not have the context that's at the top. So the guy at the top is reading reports, he's reading all sorts of things. So he has context. The guy at the bottom doesn't have those things to read. So you know what the guy at the bottom is reading? He's reading the guy at the top. Now you see the source of the problem. So the guy at the top, or the guys at the top say, we owe money. It's austerity. We're going to tighten our our belts, and so on and so forth. Because he has context. The guy at the bottom, he doesn't have that context, but he's reading you. This amount for your wife's office, This amount for the deputy president's office. Whoa. This amount for the wife of the prime cabinet secretary. Then this cabinet secretary is giving 20 million. This cabinet secretary is talking about how expensive his belt is, how expensive his shoes are. What do you think just happened? It's called a breakdown in communication. So everything the president or people at the top may have said about, how bad things are, has been nullified because they were not able to communicate strategic information to emotional audiences. Am I making some sense tonight? So, how would that whole communication have been different? The president of Senegal said, why does the whole cabinet follow me to the airport when I'm traveling? I know the way to the airport. All of you stay. Okay? President of Paul Kagame, my friend, a friend of mine, like a brother to me, he said they wanted to start a new hotel in Rwanda. He said he went, and at the time they were supposed to meet with the cabinet secretary was not there. So he thought, well, I'm used to this where I come from. So he went back to his hotel. 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, he was told somebody wanted to see him. He goes to the reception and he sees the cabinet secretary there, who apologized that he was in another meeting, and so on and so forth. So they had their meeting. He walked him out, expecting to see the motorcade. The cabinet secretary walked to his car and drove himself away. I say in communication, what if, just what if, before telling us that we owed money, what if they had gotten rid of all their guzzlers? What if they had gotten rid of all the people being paid for nothing? I hear we were even paying intercessors in the State House. What if we had scrapped all those? What if it was visible? Are you hearing me today? And people say, oh my God. I mean, you've seen the entourage of the British Prime Minister, 2 cars and 1 motorcycle. What if all those optics were put in place? Do you know at that point you don't have to say much? And so that leads me to my final thought for today. I am going to continue this next week. How many people want me to continue this next week? How many people? Because I did not get into a quarter of what I was supposed to cover today. So we'll do part 2 next week. Okay? So listen. And this, okay, I see, I think we have a quorum, a number of hands raised, and people saying we do that. All right, cool. So listen, this leads to another dynamic which we are going to cover next week, and that is St. Francis of Assisi. He said, preach the gospel at all cost. Listen, and if necessary, use words. If necessary, use words. There is something in communication called optics. And if your words are right and your optics are wrong, you will not communicate. Because, especially as a leader, because you have context. The guys you are leading don't have context. They have you. They read you. And it is what they read from you that influences their decision. What if, when it was now discovered people died, what if the president came on air and said, you know what? We're so sorry this happened. We apologize, and we're going to make sure the people responsible get booked. And we see on TV when those police are arrested, okay? And the president says, and for all those people that died, we're going to take care of all their funeral expenses, of everything. And on the day of the funeral, maybe at Uhuru Park, the entire cabinet is there wearing black, mourning, and they say, let the flags be at half-mast. And all those coffins are draped with the flags of Kenya. Do you think we'll still be having any trouble today? Optics. Are you hearing me today? Optics. It is more than, and this is what I tell leaders, this is what I tell CEOs, I tell people in government. A day before this problem started, I sent to some cabinet secretaries, some of my friends. They are fired now. Good enough. Guys, optics. I was sharing with them from the book, Team of Teams. Team of Teams, which I talked about. If you didn't watch last week, go and watch it. You know, about even Team of Teams. I was talking to the, optics. As a leader, it's got to be more than what you have said. There's the optics. All right? Okay. Everybody that came, I did something. Some of you already have this. I think, Jennifer, you already have this. Some time ago, I did a book review and a book summary of Surrounded by Idiots and the Harvard Business Review on Communication. Grace, you are so nice to me. Thank you. So I did something on this. So I have like an ebook that I did on that. Every one of you is going to have a copy sent to you on Monday. Is that okay? Every one of you, so that by next week, when we now enter into these books, you already have a head start. Is that cool? You already have that. So I'll send that, we will send that to you on Monday. All right. And then we have the entire course. How many modules? We have 6 modules. You're very welcome, guys. You're welcome. My job at my age now, my job is to empower as many people as I possibly can and mentor as many people as I can. So whatever I can do, I will do that. All right. Then we have the, after next week, you have another module next week. Then you have an opportunity to register if you want for the entire program. It's 6 modules. It's 2,000 shillings per module. All right, 2,000 shillings per module. So 6 modules is 12,000. All right. And if you're in an organization and you feel that your organization can benefit from this, then you can get the entire organization in. All right. And then once you have up to 10 people, then we will run a special program for, tailored for the organization. James, you can do that for your place of work, isn't it? All right. All right, guys. So that's it for this evening. Thank you so much for being here. And if there is any other way you feel I can help you, do not hesitate to let me know. That is why we are here. All right. And that is what grandfathers do. Okay. All right then. So I'll see you next week. You will get the link for next week. And please invite other people, tell people about this. On Monday, this will be put online also. All right. Have a great, great weekend. And whatever you do, keep winning. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It started so well, with a great job in a high-flying corporate environment. Trust me, it was prestigious. But then, I began to feel like something was missing. In spite of all that was happening around me, there was a disconnect in my life. My time, energy, and life seemed to be slipping away as my work did not resonate with my heart. I wanted something more. Then, I decided to take a leap of faith and venture into the uncharted waters of climate-smart agribusiness. We started with manufacturing, installing, and maintaining beautiful urban gardens. We can turn anywhere into a garden. Today, we run a thriving business and are called upon to teach others how it's done. Not only are we succeeding in business, but we are transforming lives through our business, and we are also environmentally friendly. Indeed, it always seems impossible until it's done.